Okay, right now we have Tiga with us at Clockenflap. Welcome to Hong Kong. I know you are very tired. Why is that?
It's good way to start an interview. I'm tired. Well, yeah, it's just been, it's the usual, like a lot of travel in a short period of time. Okay. And I played Beijing on Friday, Shanghai last night, and tonight here, and came from Canada on Friday, so...
Okay. Talking about touring that much, there's a question I want to ask you, because, well, you came from the 90s, right? And the music industry right now is quite different from back then. That's a saying that right now, you know, producers, even producers, they have to tour to get money because they can't just produce songs to get royalties.
No, everybody has to tour.
So everybody has to have a very tight schedule, this and that. But, you know, producers may not necessarily be good DJs, performing DJs.
No.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
So does it affect you? I mean, the time you can put on producing.
And producers also they should be spending more time making music.
Okay.
That's also. So sorry, what was the question?
So how does it affect you? I mean, your producing work. You don't really have that much time to do a lot of producing, right? When compared to the past.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's not too bad because I was always kind of a DJ first, but it's difficult on your life in general. Like touring takes over everything else. If you're touring a lot and you're touring globally, it's great. I mean, it's an amazing life on a lot of levels, but it takes over. It just takes so much time and so much energy. It's not even just the time, it's the energy, it's psychologically. It wears you down, it takes a lot of your energy, and it's, you know, if you're doing shows in a different city every day, that's essentially what you're doing, that's your job, and it's hard to switch gears and then be very, very creative. I think for me the challenge has always been that I think to be very creative, you can still get work done touring. You know, you can still say, oh, I'm going to do a remix in this one day. Laptop, But for me, at least, I'm just speaking personally, I think really good creative work a lot of the time comes from like time. You know, time to experiment, time to research, time to just see what happens and listen to music and just wider spectrum stuff. Just listening to music and watching movies and just kind of that's hard to do when you're on a very tight schedule. Okay.
Can you tell us a little bit, give us a rough idea how tight your schedule is, particularly this year? How much you have to spend, you know, on the road during a year?
Well, I travel. I mean, I say no to most shows. I mean, some people do like 200 shows a year. I do like 100 shows a year, 85. So, but I live in Canada, which is far from most of my shows, because most of my shows are in Europe. So there's a lot of, I don't know, I mean, I'm probably on like 200 planes a year.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm traveling a lot. I'm probably traveling half the time, and the other half the time I'm at home, and of that, you know, half of that is studio and work, and I don't know. It feels like I'm always busy, but it's not too bad now. I have a holiday coming up. And I'm not complaining.
Okay, you should take a break. Okay, and I'm a club DJ myself, so I'm really curious about what kind of gear you're using these days.
For DJing?
Yeah, like software and hardware right now.
I just use a record box with SD cards right now, which I don't use controllers, I don't use laptop, I just use CDJs and SD card and record box.
There are a lot of, you know, gears coming up, like controllers, so much. You know, machines, this and that.
Yeah,
you know.
I started the SD card thing pretty early. It's been 2 years now. I've done almost every gig like that. I mean, I've done a few gigs where I pull out my old records. I do vinyl for a few shows, special clubs. I'm not in love with, I mean, the SD card and record box is like super efficient. It's amazing for traveling. Again, that's where the traveling comes in, you know. It's amazing because you always have your music with you. It's very easy. But I don't know if it makes me a better DJ as a tool. I find I haven't really found a system that I love, because I don't really want to have my laptop in the club. I just don't want to have my laptop with me. So that makes Tractor tricky or Serato tricky. I like Tractor though. And but yeah, there is a lot of stuff now. I mean, and there's going to be a lot more, I think, very shortly. You know, I'm sure they're going to get the iPads more involved. But I don't know. Personally, my favorite was, I still love combination of CD and vinyl. Okay, cool. I just find, for me, I always DJ'd the best when I had records and CDs. But
because when you first started out, it's back in the 90s and still the vinyl age. So it's still the old school age.
Oh, yeah, it was vinyl for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And then it was CD for about 5 years, or a combination. and SD cards.
Yeah, okay. So talking about the trend of DJing, it's quite different from the 90s. It's now the trend of digital DJing. And recently there's a controversy about Kevin Harris saying something like he's okay about pre-recorded sets, which turned into a big scandal in the United Kingdom, something like that. What do you think about that statement, like, you know, playing mostly pre-recorded sets?
I don't know. I never heard him say that. I like Calvin Harris.
He denied it. It's out of context, something like that.
Yeah. I don't think... I mean, okay, it's a strange thing because the thing is, if you come, like, you know, you travel somewhere far and you show up for an hour set at a festival, and most people want to hear, probably they want to hear a lot of your own music anyway. So in a lot of ways, I mean, it's not really... what you're doing is not that complicated. What you're doing is not that... It's not the same as... You know, if you're resident DJs, local DJs, that's probably harder work. You know, if you're playing a 5-hour set of a bunch of different styles, that's a bit different. But if you're playing like an hour and a half festival set and a bunch of big hits and your own tracks, it's not that complicated. It probably wouldn't even make that big a difference.
Yeah,
if it
you
was
can't make that much improvisation anyway.
No, well, a lot of people, and I think the real question is how much improv is left, improvisation is left. Like, I come from a time definitely where, and I still like to do a lot of improvisation, probably too much, because people want to hear more. If somebody pays for a ticket tonight, they probably want to hear "You're Gonna Want Me." They probably want to hear some of my tracks, you know, and they don't want to hear me playing my favorite 30 new techno records. You know, that's not so. But I think a lot of people, I'm sorry, I'm bouncing around a bit, but also with touring, because people are playing a different city every night, they tend to play the same records more and more often. And to answer your question, I don't think people should pre-record. It's ridiculous, because I think it's just more out of respect. It's out of respect for the audience and out of respect for yourself that you got to do something up there. You might as well be mixing your records. It's not that complicated, you know. And there should always, I think DJing is the art of programming. You know, it's a subtle thing. Otherwise, everybody would be the same. You know, you take, even if it's only 15 records or whatever, how you build them up and how you lay the foundation affects how the records are interpreted, you know. So you still need to leave some room to read the crowd and make subtle changes. But no, I don't think it should be re-recorded. Okay. That's a little bit too lazy.
Yeah, that's too lazy. Not doing anything at all. Okay. Some prediction about the future trend of the, you know, dance music. Right now, it's like electro is really big, but it's like getting very formulaic. You know, it's like they sound the same. The build up, the drop. It's like wow, it's exactly the same equation. Yeah. So what's next? Some predict that well, we may be getting to something more minimal in the future. What do you think?
Well, that's a complicated question because there's so many different sides to, you know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I for me, like that big room electro sound for me has been over for a while because it's just, there's no dynamics in it anymore. It doesn't leave, it's like, it's too much. I mean, like most genres, there's a time where it's amazing. There's a time where it's exciting, and then it usually gets beaten to death a little bit. And I don't know that, I'm not sure. I'm never quite sure of the exact future, you know. I know, but I think there's going to be a big generation of people who were brought in with electro or dubstep. Like, they've basically been usually kids and new converts are brought in with very dramatic music, you know, with big impact music, and then usually they kind of move on to house or to deeper stuff or whatever. So I think there'll probably be a big generation of people now that are looking for a slightly different sound, a slightly deeper sound or whatever. So, but specifically what that sound is, I don't know. Nobody ever really knows. I mean, I hear a lot of great new techno being made that reminds me of kind of old school techno. I think there's a lot of good, like, experimental stuff being made. There's a big house boom going on, but I don't know how that'll all, you know, it always comes together in some way you can't predict. Yeah. And then once you hear it, it sounds obvious, but until you hear it, it's not obvious.
But I'm really looking forward to the return of techno. One thing about I like your techno, not tango, no way, please.
Like, wow. I was impressed. Okay.
Yeah. So one thing I like about your remixes is you always kind of you know, retain that 90s techno feel to it. Yeah. Yeah. I really want the return of techno. Yeah. At some point.
well, my set probably you'll hear some. But there's a lot of good tech. I mean, I think I really feel there's a big generation of people now, and kids, and specifically producers and DJs who, you know, everyone reacts to what's popular. It's normal, and there's a whole generation now that have seen big main room electro house. They're not interested by it. They've seen the age of the digital DJ, and they're reacting to it by making stranger music, going back to vinyl, going back to different. I'm not saying that that's the future. It's not looking back, but definitely in the sound, you hear a lot of people realizing, like, hey, there's a lot more depth to the music. There's a lot more options. There's a lot more things we can do.
Okay. Well, talk about your new album, your non-stop, Tiga non-stop.
Mix CD.
Yeah, I listened to the whole thing,
cool.
even though it's not released yet. I really enjoyed it.
Great.
But it's kind of a down-tempo, mid-tempo kind of thing, which gives me a little bit of an after-party feel. Tell us a little bit how you came up with the concept of the album.
Well, it's just, yeah, it's just a lot of records that I really like. And well, it moves around a lot. It starts quite slow, and it builds into some house, and then into some techno, and ends with kind of some classics. So I guess it's like, yeah, I guess it's like if I was DJing an after party or DJing a party. And I don't know, there's no big concept. It's like, you know, 70 minutes of music.
Okay.
And that's what I like about DJing is every time you DJ, every set, it's like a snapshot, you know, of that. It's just where you're at that time. You know, it's not. It's and it could totally change. You know, if I made the mix CD now, it would be completely different.
Okay.
So.
I kind of like your take on When Doves Cry, Prince classic, because it's
you.
always scary when the DJ try to remix a classic.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't normally try to touch Prince, but yeah, that was just. Well, that was just a. You know, sometimes you make a track and you get a little idea in your head, a little vocal. Sometimes you lift a line from a song and you think you'll change it later. You know, you use it temporarily as a placeholder, and then sometimes you just keep it. It's a little bit lazy of me because obviously it's When Doves Cry. It's like everybody knows it, but I thought that for that song it worked and it kind of made sense.
Oh, it certainly.
And I love Prince.
Yeah, so and I hope that it could come out as a single.
Yeah, it did. It came out.
So everybody can, you know.
It came out on Crosstown Rebels.
Okay, cool. Okay, and actually last year I opened for Scissor Sisters when they were playing in Hong Kong, and I came to talk to them. Tim, they're really fun guys.
Yeah, they're great.
So right now they had just announced that they will be in hiatus after the recent tour.
Okay.
Will there be any future collaboration between you and Jay Shears?
Yes, there will. Yes.
Okay, give us some tips and hints about what you're going to do.
I can't now because it's not specific, but I know that there 100% will. There won't be a Tiga record without Jake on it.
Okay.
That's for sure. We're
because you two make
friends for
very
life.
Interesting chemistry. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I love Jake. I've loved him since the first day I met him. I mean, Scott too, and Ann and everybody, but I met Jake and Scott came to hear me DJ at Sonar a long time ago, and I met them, and you know, they're great, super talented, and yeah, they're the real thing, you know. But we have a lot of people don't know actually how much they love techno and how much they love electronic music, and you know, it's not just their sound, it's they're real music lovers, and they're into all kinds of stuff, and they're great. Yeah, we have a kind of a gentleman's agreement, you know. Anything we'll always be working together. Okay,
looking forward to that. And my wish list is you could do more remixes of LCD Sound System. Of the two you did, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Really good.
There probably will be. I mean, me and James also hopefully will do something else together. And well, I hope there's a new LCD record one day.
Okay,
that's more important, maybe.
Okay, as a very experienced DJ, can you name one song you will always put in your set, you know, to save the day? Is there one favorite song you always put in your set? In case the floor is dead.
Well, nowadays, I mean, I have to admit, one of my own, You Gonna Want Me, usually works well, especially when I'm playing, because, you know, usually it's become kind of a classic for me. It's not my favorite, because I'm in it, but... I'm trying to think what's a really... I should have an answer to that. Yeah, I guess for me it's You Gonna Want Me. But, I mean, there's other ones. There's ones that are more recent. I mean, I remember a few years ago that Soulwax remix of MGMT. That was a...
Oh, it's alright. It's alright.
That was a big one, and there's some old ones. Blue Monday by New Order is always a big one.
Yeah, that's a killer.
That's a killer. And Daft Punk Around the World I always loved so much. Not for every set, but it's just an amazing record.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
I know you have to rest a little.
Oh, no problem.